air guitar.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Murals in the Market Live. I'm trying to maintain here. So today's guest, Sabrina Nelson, she's already giving me way too much stuff. So I'm trying to quiet her down for 1 second so I can do my little thing. Welcome to Murals in the Market Live. I'm Jason Hall of Ride Detroit. Welcome once again every Saturday live at 11 a.m. We do this. We bring you the inside on a different artist every week and have some fun doing it. Man, last week was crazy. We had a good time just like every other week. My man came from California and hit me with the live and blessed me. Shifi hit me and just, if you missed it, please go over to the Murals in the Market Instagram and check out the past interviews, especially his from last week. Because, like, to quote him, he got real Malcolm X in it. And I want you to really check it out. And he really dropped some good vibes. All right, so check that out. I got a lot of other stuff that I usually talk about. But I'm going to get right into this because I know Sabrina's busy. And I know she's just chomping to get at this right now. We are live. And this is my first live. So I've actually usually somebody meets me in their studio and they transmit through. But when I called Sabrina, I was like, yo, you can sign up from your studio. And she was like, no, I'm actually just going to meet you there. So this is my first live. So if you are in the market, please stop down here. Check us out. You could be my first live audience. That would be awesome. We got some people walking by right now. They're like, who are these people standing in the alley? That's all right. We're going to get an audience out here. So I'm going to get to it right now because usually I have not a script, but I have sort of an order of how I get to things because I have bullet points that I want to hit. But on this one, I can't because I don't even, we were just talking about where to start. And we're going to just start where we start. I want to start with the beginning, which is back when I used to work in Y Arts. There was an incredible group of talented individuals brought together, and Sabrina and her son Mario were two of those individuals. And back then, I thought it was just a job that I had, that I was blessed to work with a couple cool people. But now look, years later, and I see all these people doing amazing things, and I see that it was really an incubator for incredible talent. Phil Fresh Simpson was there. I mean, just a group of incredible people, right? And so I'm going to get right into it with Sabrina Nelson. Sabrina, thank you.
I just want to mention, you're welcome, but Jillian Eaton,
yes,
Tristan Eaton, and Matt's mom was the person who was over that program at that particular time. And I know things changed, but I just wanted to mention that.
Nah, every week I try not to be a cheerleader for certain individuals, but her name always comes up because she was such a visionary at that time. Like I said, she was the first person who was really putting me on the digital media and really connecting me with other artist entrepreneurs. So yes, major shout out to Jillian Eaton, Matt Eaton, Tristan, my homies. Thank you. But now let's talk about you. So let's just start right now. All right, what's going on behind you?
Okay, so what behind me is the mural. I call this my three graces. And with those, there is Grace Lee Boggs, Jessica Kier Moore, and Charity Mamuna Hicks here. And so when I was asked to do a mural in the market, I had already witnessed so many artists do amazing things. But I think that women specifically women in Detroit, who fought for other people, who could not always fight for themselves, needed something to say that we honor them. And so I wanted to do this as a womanist and as someone who knew all three of these women. Grace Lee Boggs is no longer with us. She lived to be 100 years old, Chinese-American woman who was married to Jimmy Boggs. She came to the United States from China and noticed when she was living in New York that there were no people who were fighting for their rights in housing. That's when she met Jimmy Boggs, came to Detroit, and fought on the front lines with Jimmy for civil rights. And so she was, if you don't know Grace Lee Boggs, definitely look her up. She was born in 1915 and died in 2015. Bill Weaver and that she gave me in her halo. These are the times to grow our souls. And right now, during this pandemic, I think these words will definitely be something that we certainly use. Jessica Care Moore, who is still with us, so she has no halo over her head. It's underneath her because it kind of lifts her spirit up, and she actually teaches literacy in prisons. She actually works with kids in public schools. She also teaches workshops in college now, but she is a published writer, poet, and also just recently she has a book that was published called We Want Our Bodies Back in honor of Sandra Bland. She also just finished recording a new album with Access Records, and so I did the album cover for that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I want to get on to Charity Hicks, who fought for water rights in Detroit, and her words were wage love. She died in a coma. She went to a water rights conference in New York and got hit as she was kind of coming off of the curb in New York. So she's definitely a martyr for the rights of people who were getting their water shut off here in Detroit. And so she was close to my age. She was born in 69 and died in 2014. So I wanted to honor her life by putting her image on the wall. And I've done other Charity Hicks pieces because I want people to know who she is, who she was, and a lot of people don't know. But whenever you see the hashtag wage love, that's from Charity Hicks. And so I want to talk a little bit about Jessica and the new album with Jeff Mills. And so if you don't know Jeff Mills, he is a producer and a musician from Detroit, and I did the album cover for that, and it's on Access Records right now. And so again, she's got her hand in a lot of things, and she pulled me in on that project, and so she's my sister, and so she's a living artist, and that's why the halo is underneath her that says somebody's got to care more, because she does more than just write poems. And so in that way, she's honoring her talent. I'm honoring my talent by doing the visual part of it at the same time, and somebody's got to care more is how she lives her life. You know, it's not just being this really beautiful woman who writes poems, but she's saving lives with her poetry, and I'm talking about lives. I am described in this way and sharing my ability and showing people that we need to honor the people who are here when they're here fighting for us, between Grace Lee Boggs, Jessica Care Moore, and Charity Hicks. And when I was on that piece, people kept asking, who is that? You know, like I think they were saying Nelson Mandela, and I'm like, well, by the time you reach 100, some people, you know, you're not really looking at how they look. You really, what is their legacy that they're leaving, and they're walking around with us alive. So we need to give flowers to folks who are still here. So when I painted them, I wanted people to acknowledge their presence, their power, and the fact that there were 3 women, one who is still here, that do this work from Detroit, and they were proud to say that they were Detroiters. And so that's why I painted this mural. This bothers me though. So it is peeling, and I talk to students that I teach sometimes in the summer at CCS, and I give, CCS is College for Creative Studies if you don't know, but I give workshops called Installation Art and Impermanent Art. I like the idea that some art will not live longer than we. So in its impermanence, for those who walk by casually and don't know who these women are, if they take the time to read and look at it, as long as it's here, they will learn, right? You take photographs, sometimes they'll live in the cloud forever. I won't live forever, neither will this mural, but I hope to be here longer than this, because it is peeling right now, and that's okay. So there are some really great dead masters in the DIA, and those works will be there for a while because they've got curators and people in conservation that take care of them. If I could come back here and patch this up and work it out, that would be fine. But it's okay. 1X Run needs to do some prints of this. Hey, hey, hey. Did you see that? Did you see how I threw that in there? Hey. Do some prints. We can have some prints, and then it'll be here forever in that world. But I'm okay with this going away because it's outside, and we have 4 seasons here. We have extreme heat, maybe 5. Extreme heat. We have summer, spring, fall, and then we have stupid cold winter. And so if it peels off, it's whatever. It is.
So can we back up for a second? Because you were talking
like
about...
this, or as in back up talking?
Let's back up talking.
Okay,
You're talking about some pretty legendary people here. and you throw Jeff Mills out there like, oh, Jeff Mills, Detroit producer. Okay, for those who don't know, Jeff Mills was the wizard.
The wizard.
Okay, Jeff Mills is a Detroit legend, okay?
Yeah.
And I think you downplay, or at least from what I see, how big of an institution you are in Detroit. Can you fill people in on where maybe you not began, but where did your journey in art start?
Well, I'll just say I was born in the year of the rebellion, 1967, so I will be 53 in I don't know how many days, but I'm August 26th, so what is today, the 8th?
Yep.
So in like 18 days, I'll be 53. Hey, okay, all right, this glue is working good. And spackle. Anyways, so my father was an artist, and I come from a very creative family and a very intellectually strong family. So in my family, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and my mom, you know, they just raised us to be very hard workers and good thinkers. And my father was always, you know, he never really realized his dream as being a professional artist and getting paid a lot of money for it. So he did it for fun, right? He was a sign painter and he worked at Ford's. And when I told him I wanted to go to art school, he was like, why do you want to go to art school when I can teach you everything you need to know? So my father was like a street hustler, if you would. He painted signs just so he could give money away. And so I would go with him to paint the signs. He'd be on the scaffold. And then he told me, when I said I wanted to go to CCS, he said, you don't have to go, I'll teach you. And I was like, I don't want to be outside on no scaffolding, painting words for nobody. And all these people coming by, talking to me, strangers. And I'm doing that right now because God has jokes. So I ended up going to CCS. He was incredibly proud of me. I majored in what was called fine arts. Now we call it arts practice. And I met some amazing people like Gilda Snowden and Russell Keeter and just some people who really kind of showed me the ropes and how to use materials and how to define what it was I was doing. Then I had to figure out what story I wanted to tell. So I was always talking about the intersection between being a mother and being a professional artist. So I'm always talking about nurture and nature and what it's like to be a black mother in a city full of black people where there is always something that you have to worry about happening. So with that being said, my work has sort of evolved into installation work that talks about that position. It's evolved from doing portraiture work to the idea of the spirit of what it means to be a black mother, and that might come out in a form of a black bird, either a raven or a crow. A group of crows is called a murder of crows. A group of ravens is called an unkindness or a conspiracy. And when I think about black lives being taken, whether it is in the neighborhood that they live in, outside of this country, in armies, in prisons, however, those lives are being snatched. They never return to the nest. And so I'm talking about what that feels like and how it hurts. And so I've been doing a Blackbird series. I've been shown in white wall spaces, meaning galleries, museums. And I also like the idea that this is out here for the public. So when you do a mural like this, it's not in a space where there's going to be wine and cheese and you have an invitation that's sent to you where you can come in. This is for the public. This is for Detroiters who come down here in Eastern Market to shop, and then they happen to walk in on this space. So I like the idea of doing work that is for the public and doing work that is for private spaces like galleries. So even working with Jessica Care Moore and Jeff Mills to do the album cover for the new album that just came out. And so I show up in spaces sometimes that people don't expect me in, and I'm okay with that. And I like doing that kind of work because if I weren't an art worker, I would hurt people. I would be very angry. I would probably be Charles Bronson's vigilante Wonder Woman out here, like just snatching lives of people who hurt other people. And so I think I'm safer in this realm. I think other people are safer from me in this realm. This is my superpower, and I should stick to that. And so I know you said that, I got a legacy of things that I'm doing, and I downplay. I'm just always doing, so I don't have time to kind of look back at the trail of what I've left. And so my legacy will be whatever I leave here, be it Mario or Sudani or my grandchildren or this wall that may not be here. But just kind of saying that I was here in this world and I made some kind of visual creative difference with the messages that I'm giving out with what I'm doing or the projects that I'm involving myself in. So I'm too busy to think about it.
I say that all the time. I said that just this morning. I don't do throwbacks because I have too much stuff going on currently or in the future that for me to be worried about what I've done. But it's you can't overlook what you have done and the imprint that you have made on art and in this city. And I'm not trying to be that guy to keep beating it into you.
Yeah.
But I just have to say, as a fan, I've always been a fan. So how did you end up at Murals in the Market?
I have been looking at what Sydney James was doing, and I think Sydney has about 3 or 4 murals right now in the market. And I've known Sydney since she was a senior in high school. She came to CCS and she just did her thing, and then I feel like we're family. You know, I feel like I'm very much her big sister. I went to go visit Sydney when she was in California before she decided to come home, and she came home with the fire. She was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She said, what do you think about this? And I was like, just do it. I mean, we need you here. She wanted to be here with her family, her mom, her siblings. She's got a lot of siblings. And so I watched her and visited her when she painted the mural with her, Tylon, Tiff Massey, and I think Rashawn Rucker on the wall. That might have been her first piece, and she was next to Michelle.
Yep.
And Michelle was at CCS as well. And so I met her when she came from, I think it's Buffalo, New York. So just kind of knowing how a lot of these artists started, we just started talking, and then I would come and visit her at night, and I was like, I think I want to do this. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, you know, I've painted murals before with kids in schools, but I would love to do it outside. And so I talked to Rula, and Rula was like, I didn't know you did big stuff. I was like, girl, if I can do little shit, I can do big shit. Like, I'm just saying. I mean, there ain't nothing you know what I'm saying? Like, is that a challenge? What?
Right.
So when I got the green light, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna do a mural. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. And so I was super duper excited. I told my father about it. He was super duper excited. The first thing he asked, he's like, you gonna use a scalpel? You know, kind of like just kind of poking at me. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not gonna use a scalpel because I'm too cute to fall, right? Because I can't fall pretty. We need a lift. So that happened, and I used the lift, and it was the first time I learned how to drive it. And then after that, I was like, you know, I was badass. I have jumped out of a plane 19,000 feet before, but there was, you know, I landed on my feet with that one. It was a tandem drum. I could not land on this. This is not soft. So I really enjoyed doing it, and I enjoyed the participants who felt they were comfortable enough to talk to me while I was painting. They were asking questions. I did another mural before I did this one. It was a small business mural, and that is in North End, and it's a Peace Giant. And so it's on a space of a building of a guy who owns Rebound Construction, and what he does is he takes folks from the penal system and he teaches them how to get their certificate to learn how to tear houses down. And so I wanted to work with him in his building to put a mural up about black men being peace warriors. You know, like a giant black man who's holding the fist, and on his body is tattooed a lot of things that represent peace, that represent Detroit. I put Marsha Kuzek's father's record store on there. I have the Supremes on there, and then I have Dinker symbols that represent I'm a child of God, but this is also Sankofa. Like, we got to go back and reach into the things that we were taught in order to move forward. And so with that mural, that was my first, and I had a projection idea to project it on a wall. The projector didn't work, so I had to freehand it. So that was my first time. This one I projected. I figured it out. I got a nice projector, and Nivek helped me with projecting, and he was my mural assistant. And for him to be my assistant, Nivek Monet is an amazing artist, and so you know, him and Backpack, she was actually kind of helping out that year. So that's sort of my story with this, but I always had it in my mind to not do something that was pretty, but something that was powerful, and that had to do with women, because I see a lot of beautiful murals in the city, but I want to see something that reflects the folks that were here and the folks that are still here Jessica is here, Charity, and Gracely Balls.
So there's a couple things that I keep popping up in my mind. It's your incredible influence on the youth. You're talking about how you talked to Sydney before she was coming back, to Detroit. Of course, Mario. How important are community and influencing the youth to you?
Well, if you plant seeds, you're going to grow a beautiful garden, right? Sometimes if you get seeds that are that are already, they're not natural, right? And so I'm thinking if I'm helping out in schools at like DSA, Detroit School of the Arts, where Maya Reynolds is, if I'm helping out in Western High School in Southwest Detroit with a very large Mexican population, if I'm helping out in Cody and the DPS schools that are still here, whether it's the Detroit International Academy for Young Women or Henry Ford Academy, which is now PrEP, we are planting seeds for our future, and then we're hoping that we're touching and lighting the fires of folks who will replace us when we are no longer here. Because something that most people don't talk about is the cycle of life. We are going to die. We're dying from the moment we're born, right? But what's not important is when you're born, and what's not important when you die. What's important is the dash in between. What are you doing with your life? What legacy will you leave? And how do you hand that torch on to the next person? It is easier to teach a child something really beautiful than it is to change a man who's already here, who's already been influenced, who's already been traumatized by all kinds of things in his life. So if you teach a child and you start off and you start feeding them light and love and creativity, and you just tell them that this is a beautiful part of who you are and you can give this to somebody else, why not do that in groups, right? So I'm taking my little light and I'm lighting others who will light others, who will light others. It is easier to do that than it is to change a man. Like if I can take a man off of the streets here and say, I'm gonna teach you how to paint this mural, and he'd be like, no, I don't know how to paint. That ain't my lane. I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with that. But you give a child a paintbrush and you tell them we're gonna paint a mural today, they're like, ooh, okay, we're gonna paint. Sometimes you gotta be like, okay, brother, I need you to stay in these lines because you all over here. You get this brick. So you have to, you know what I'm saying? So there's excitement and newness that children have, that sometimes that light burns out early in adults. So that to me is exciting, and that's the child spirit in me connecting with the child spirit in them. So that's why I do it. I don't know why other people do it, but they don't fight as much.
Right? Much more pliable.
Yes.
Okay. So what are you doing right now? What are you working on right now that you want everybody to know about?
Okay. So I have a show coming up at Gallery Camille, and that's Dahlia, if you guys don't know her. She's the manager right now of the exhibition space, and that's a White Cube Space show. I'm going to do another Blackbird show where I'm talking about how black bodies are violently taken from the nest. So I've made some dresses that will hang with bird cages that are empty because they're going to hang in the area where the womb is. This is our first home. And when the child leaves us, Rumi says your children are of you, but they don't belong to you. So once they leave us, they're out in the world. We cannot protect them. When they are murdered or taken from the nest, the mothers mourn. And I don't always say birth mothers, but I'm talking teachers, counselors, neighbors, people who help raise that child in that village. So I will have these dresses in the gallery. The opening is going to be August 28th, so I'm working on that show. I'm also working with WDET and Echo Park Guitars, where I am honoring guitarists that I think are amazing. That is women and men, from Joni Mitchell to Cat Dyson to Bob Dylan to Jack White to Jimi Hendrix. Somebody who I feel like Christopher Columbus right now too, because I'm discovering these guitar players who have been here. You know what I'm saying? Because Christopher Columbus thought he found some shit. But anyway, so I'm looking at the Parliament Funkadelics guitarist that I think is amazing, Eddie Hazel. I'm listening to him every day, so I'm listening to these guitarists every morning so I can be familiar with them, so that I can draw their image, just like I did with the James Baldwin series. So I kind of baptized myself in his image, his video, before I went with Jessica to Paris to the James Baldwin conference, because because I was the visual artist there to paint his image. So I did 91 drawings of James Baldwin. Right now I'm drawing the women in the guitar industry that I think should be honored, and the men who are either from here or not from here, because Jimmy ain't from here, but Jimmy is in here. So just kind of honoring that, and that'll be a fundraiser for WDET. And so I'm drawing on this 500-year-old wood that's been under the water for about 150 years in a lake in Michigan. So I want to honor that wood by making sure that I am doing it in graphite so you can still see the rings, because for trees, each year is a ring, right? And so with Adrian, the guy who made the guitar, and and Delisi, I want to honor their artistry too. And so I want to make sure you can see the wood. So I'm drawing in graphite, real light, and just doing portraits in real small forms. Also thinking I may be working on another mural soon that will honor Grace Lee Boggs. Not sure about the details of that. I'm doing a lot. I'm also helping Mario with the mural on the Dexter Elmhurst Center building. We grew up there. My mom used to send us there. My sisters were in the drum corps, and my brother. I don't remember doing much but sitting in the corner drawing. I swear to God, I wasn't cheering. I wasn't holding no pole, nothing. I wasn't doing nothing but sitting in the corner drawing. I'm sure they made me do stuff, but I don't remember. That was in the 70s. I grew up over there. So I got a lot of things going on, and I know this is a pandemic, but my heart can't be still. I'm not honoring the legacy of my father, who died on April 28th of COVID. He died in a nursing home, so the virus was brought into the place. I couldn't see him, and so that hurts. And for a moment, my visual arts was silent, and I would say it took me about maybe a month or two to kind of get back on my feet, and now I can't stop. And so I'm just working on a lot of stuff. I'm also doing a print with Signal Return. I'm going to carve a print of my father's shoes that were found in my dressing room. There's a pair of, I forget what you call them, they're wingtip shoes. And they've got the Brodine on them, so it's a black and white pair of shoes that I saw a picture of him. I think the picture is either from 77, 78, and he's talking to the only black woman sign painter in Detroit in that picture. And so I want to make sure that I do a really beautiful linoleum print of those shoes. So I'm going to draw those soon on the linoleum and then carve them out. And so I'm doing a lot. I kind of like having a staycation, because normally for CCS, I'm on the road recruiting. I'm bringing in students from all over the country. And so for people to say they're stuck at home, I'm enjoying it. I'm working on my house. I do have a studio. And so if I'm not doing the work, because I'm an artist, I'm an art worker, if I'm not doing that work, then I'm not here. And that means I'm not here in this body, in this heart, in this mind. So that's what I'm doing. So it's a lot. And I'm okay with it.
So 2 projects, the art for the 30 pictures for 30 days.
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
That is called Inktober.
Okay.
And so with Inktober, you take the whole month of October and you draw with a prompt every day. I think the prompts that are online are whack, or in my words, it's some bullshit. I don't like it. So I changed the prompts so it's Blacktober.
Nice.
So I do 31 days of something that Sabrina likes, and so that's how James Baldwin came to be too. I'll probably do 31 days of guitarist every day around then, because I will have already started those images, and so that means men and women who play the guitar, whether it's Joan Homatraden, whether it's Cat Dyson. I might throw some bass players in there too, because I love Divinity Rocks, and then I love our Purple Unicorn, who is Nick West, who was kind of mentored by Prince as well, and then just 31 days of some badass guitarists that are women, and so I might do that.
So that's coming up in October.
That's coming up in Inktober, yeah. But it's going to be Blacktober for Sabrina, because it's going to be all... I might throw a Bonnie Raitt in there every now and then, because she cool too.
She got a little soul.
She got... Listen, Bonnie Raitt. And Joni Mitchell was pretty cool too, so... They
get a pass.
Yeah, because, we gave some people away. Michael Jackson was traded, so... and then Rachel Donzel fucked up. Because she got light-skinned people out here, people really checking. And I'm like, listen, don't play with me.
What?
Lightly melanated, hella black. But she messed up.
Yeah.
She messed up.
I don't even want to talk about that, but for real, people are on, like, not asking you, are you really?
No, but I mean, you get a lot of people to be like, what you mixed with? And I be like, my mama and daddy, what you mixed with?
Right. Wow.
So, I mean, once you sit down and have a conversation with me and you look at my work and you look at my life and you look at my people, you already know. But I'm just saying, there's some people that be over here. Like them Kardashians, right? You know what I'm saying?
They done, that whole situation, Kanye, that whole thing, I just stopped really paying attention to that.
I've never paid attention to it, but it keeps showing up on my timeline because people be paying attention to it.
Yeah, this is... Yeah,
I ain't got enough energy to give them, so whatever.
Let's cut that right now because we don't want to give them none of our Instagram time. They get enough of their own.
I'm standing under this one, wage love. I need to just go ahead and listen. Note to self, wage love.
You know what I'm saying? So, what about... James Baldwin's name keeps coming up.
Because he is, his spirit keeps coming back and teaching us things that we didn't learn. I think if the lesson is not learned, you are bound to repeat it. You know what I'm saying? And so if we listen to James Baldwin and listen to the things that he and Toni Morrison and Malcolm X and folks have tried to teach us, even Nina Simone, who said, an artist's duty is to reflect the times that they live in. And James Baldwin never wanted to be called an artist. He was very much a philosopher and a doer. Like, he lived in communities and he made sure to let people know that, the reason people are upset is because of the shit that they have to deal with. And for people who live in privileged lives, they don't understand it. So it's sometimes our duty, if I love you, like he said, if I love you, it's my duty to tell you the truth. And so that's why James Baldwin is so pertinent. And I feel like I'm turning into James Baldwin. Because I can draw him now without looking at a reference. I can draw him out of me in terms of his quotes and the conversations that he had that make him quoted today. There's a new book I think WDET was talking about recently that was just recently published because people are so... The folks who are, I would say, who are conscious enough or woke, they're thinking about the words that James Baldwin said, and it's a lesson because we are not learning that lesson because we're repeating some of the same stuff. And that was in the 60s and in the 50s, and here we are in 2020 in August, and the same stuff is happening. The injustices that are happening, the stuff that's happening around the world. It's not just here in Detroit, but black and brown people are treated differently and not valued. And so he's talking about that. And how do you get rid of the idea of race? Like Toni Morrison said, if I take racism from you, what do you have? Who are you? Are you still strong? Are you good at what you do? Are you still a good person? Like, if I take race away from you, who are you? And so the idea that racism exists, like we're a one human race. Like if I cut you, you're gonna bleed, right? And your blood is no different than my blood. And so when we talk about racism, like what is that? Like biracial, what is that? Like you're human, I'm human, they get together, they make another human. But if you're treating somebody different because their skin is darker than yours, that's fucked up. That's what that is. It's not racism, it's fucked up. So how do you get rid of it? And you can't always pray it away. You can't always meditate it away. You can't always bless it and magically make it disappear. What you can do is use your superpower to break it down, understand it, and see what's happening with you in your head and your heart. What traumas are you dealing with that, as a hurt person, makes you want to hurt other people? That's what we should do. And then we got to talk about the penal system. Like how are we dealing with that? Angela Davis had a whole talk about that. And so that's a whole nother conversation.
I just bought one of her books addressing that very, very conversation about how our brothers are treated in the penal system, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It's just another way to have slavery.
Right?
It's,
How do we not see that?
We see it.
Right, we see it.
We see it.
We see it. But how?
And look at the army. Look at the army. It's just another way that people think they're getting out of their neighborhoods. They're saving themselves by joining the army. Now, what's the difference between somebody being in the army and somebody being in the penal system? You're told what to wear, when to wake up, what to do, what not to do. I have not been in either one, but I feel like I see a lot of young brothers who are on their way to CCS, right? And they say, no, I can't come, I'm going to join the army. And I'm like, that's going to be a little different for you. And I know the idea of protecting the country. I get that. But there's something that I don't think is right about it. That most of the people who voluntarily sign up are people in disproportionate communities that don't have money. And they look at it as a way to save themselves and their family. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Nah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on
I'm not
that.
gonna say anymore.
No, say more. Say more.
I'm gonna meditate by doing this.
No, say more.
Drawings, and I'm gonna pray by doing this. So this is my superpower. I'm gonna keep doing art that speaks to pandemonium during a pandemic, and also for those that can hear it, they will get it. And those that can't, maybe it's just pretty. And I'm okay with that too. Let me just feed you something real pretty, and after a while, it might smack the shit out of you, and you might finally get it. So sometimes we just have to suck you in with the pretty first. And then once we suck you in with the pretty, then you're like, oh my God, I learned something. That's the kind of shit Jessica do. She be all fine and stuff, and then you hear her poem, and you be like, shit, I just got beat up.
Right.
I was in a whole fight with Layla Ali and didn't even know it. And you come out and your brain just be stimulated. So that is my hope with my work. I always have people around me that are way smarter than me, so that I can kind of suck in their brilliance, if you would, and be inspired to keep mine going as well.
So if you could say anything to the youth that are thinking about going down this road, what would you tell them? And I know you have a lot to tell them.
I would just tell them, make sure that they surround someone that always ignites their light, that always inspires them. And you don't need a lot of money to do this, right? People are under this misnomer that you have to have a lot of money to be an artist. If you're going to create something, just create it and quit looking for excuses not to do it, right? There's a field of bushes and flowers in this alley. I could do a really beautiful installation with that Queen Anne's lace, which people call, weeds, right? Sometimes it's really about what you have access to. So just work with what you have access to with. I teach a workshop called Installation Art, and I bring out garbage and things that people throw away. And we create really beautiful things with those. And so just letting people know that when you're a creator, when you're an artist, when you give yourself that label, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're shedding light and you're teaching and you're telling a story that needs to be told that nobody else will tell in your way that you tell it. So I would just tell them, just keep going. Sometimes it's going to be days when you don't feel like doing anything and you need to just sit down and write it out. And that's okay too. So just be inspired, be encouraged, and always be lit. They understand that. And sometimes that means you got to walk around the corner, you got to do some sit-ups, you got to eat some good food. Be mindful of what you are ingesting, what you see, what you're smelling, what you're eating, and what you're hearing, because that can affect you as an artist, as a creator. So listen to good music, eat good food, hang around really good people, and get those senses together, smell some good shit, and just make sure that you're walking in your purpose. And that may not always be a visual purpose. I taught YG when he was in high school.
Another name. See how she just drops another
Right.
name.
But-
Once again,
but I
worldwide
did.
known producer,
I did.
multi-awarded,
Let me
and she
tell
just
you,
drops this
he
name
would
like,
come in the
yeah,
room
you
and
know.
He drawing figures, and it was an advanced placement class. He'd come in the room and he'd have on his Walkman, and he had a little tape player on the side. And I'd be like, "What you doing?" And he was like, "I'm dropping tracks." I was like, "You better drop that pencil on that paper while you listening to that." And so, I mean, you know, I wasn't probably 10 years older than them, right? But I was teaching this figure drawing class, and he could draw his ass off. And I'd be like, "Listen, YG, you can do this music thing, but you gonna do this art thing in this classroom." And it was a Saturday class. And I think he went to, he either went to Pershing or Osborne. I can't remember. It was at Eastside High School. But I had all these kids that would come to Wayne State on Saturday, and I would, you know, do the drawing. And him, Sterling was in it. So yeah, so that's what I did.
See, I thought I thought I was bad because I always drop names like that. Like, oh yeah, you know, but you have touched
Halim was in there. Halim Rasul.
you have touched so many people. I mean, have you ever tried to sit down and just visually draw a tree of, because I would love to see the roots. You're the roots and the base, but how many branches have come off this tree?
I just touched him a little bit, just a little bit.
Nah.
I haven't thought about it. I'm not, you know, like Rumi says this. There's a quote by Rumi that says, "If you live in the past, you are depressed. If you live in the future, you are anxious. If you live in the present, you are at peace." So, Throwback Thursday is over there. I'm just living, right? And I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying the people that I touch. I'm enjoying that those who I even circle back and say, "What you doing? Can I help? Can I be a part of it?" So I don't think about it in that way, because it's sort of like, these are just small touch points. These are small lights. And if you take your candle and you light somebody else's candle, after a while, we're going to illuminate this whole city, and it's going to be super bright. And I'm okay with that. My flame ain't bigger than somebody else's flame. I'm a flame, just like Wajid is a flame, just like Sidney James is a flame, just like Mario is a flame, and we got now Sudani is a flame, and I'm okay with that.
Wow. The whole time I'm not trying to be a fan once again. Where can we support you now? Where can we find work? Where can we help you out?
So I have a way that I would like for you to help Black family development by buying my Power Fist print that's at Signal Return. When you buy that print, a portion of it goes to Signal Return, but a portion of it goes to Black family development. That print is only $80. Once I do the print of my father's wingtip shoes with his Better Made potato chips and that Fago pop, I want you to support that. Come to the show. That's going to be at Gallery Camille, and if you can't physically come with your mask, you can support the show online. I still have James Baldwin prints. If you're interested, let me know. I have the one with the embroidery that I just did. If it didn't sell, from the Art Mile Detroit, we are art workers. That is real. So I'm always on Instagram under Sabrina Nelson 67, and we'll post all of the things that I'm in. Support Jessica Care Moore's book, Want Our Bodies Back. When you support that, you're supporting my sister, who supports me. Support Jeff Mills and that album from Axis Records. And so you can see that online. I'm just doing too many things.
And any last words before we let you go?
Just keep going. Whatever you do it with, the most honest way that you can. Be authentic. Be good. And John Lewis get into good trouble. I think his legacy is something that we should think about. And, he lived to tell the story. And I kind of stay in good trouble that way. So, be in good trouble. You're in good company.
Ladies,
That's all I got.
there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Sabrina Nelson. I'll say it, the legend. I got the best job in the world. I get to hang out with beautiful people on beautiful days in a beautiful city. All right, everybody. I got to go. You can come and check out Sabrina's piece.
Right, because it is coming apart. It's feeling. I see it.
So So you gotta come soon. We do tours through ridedetroit.com, where you can come. We do a 2-hour e-bike tour and a walking tour, where you see a good portion of the murals, if not all of them. And you can support the artist by going to onetimes.run.market.com and grab some stuff over there. Once again, man, I will see y'all next week. Bye, Sabrina. Thank you again, everybody. See you next week.
Oh, yes. That was so amazing.
Yeah.